But I'm curious if UNC fans are happy. Right? I'm curious if they're going to call in talking trash to NC State because, right, you win a rivalry game. It came down to the wire. You got the block. There may or may not have been some Wolfpack down hand signals from players on UNC on the way off the court. Like, I'm wondering if they're going to call in with that kind of bravado, or if it's going to be kind of a tail between your legs, little like, we got the win, but we know that maybe we shouldn't have always been the most celebrated team. Like winning a swimming match because everybody else false started. You're like, yeah, I won, but I don't know if I'm going to brag about that one. It's a win, don't get me wrong. And a win is a win is a win. And in college sports of any level, you celebrate every win. But Dennis posed this question to me earlier today, and I think it's a really good way to recap for looking at UNC side. There's plenty of time to talk about NC State side, but looking at UNC side, it's a win. Did that win change anything? Did it make you more confident in UNC moving forward, or was it just that? It was just the win. UNC, here's why I struggle with that answer. UNC looks so much, and this is like the double negative, less disjointed. Jointed? They look so much more jointed, right? They look disjointed most of the year. Last couple of weeks, they started to look less disjointed than they did earlier in the season. The roles, so much more comfortable. Ian Jackson led the way in this game. Right? 20-plus points. Looked like the elite player that he is. Draft boards shooting on up. Elliot Cadeau, double-digit assists. Set everybody up. Earlier in the year, I think he auditioned himself as like a shooter-scorer type, and now I'm going to dish out 11 assists. Drake Powell, a little bit of everything. Jalen Washington, double-digit rebounds, and UNC out-rebounded their opponent. That doesn't happen very often. Seth Trimble gave great defensive effort off the bench. Again, I think he auditioned a different role earlier in the year, settling back into what he knows he does best, which is be an elite perimeter defender and an energy guy and can score when the offense comes to him. RJ Davis didn't shoot them out of the game, didn't shoot a billion threes, and didn't shoot the highest percentage, but it wasn't bad. All of that is steps forward from where they were a month ago. And you still beat NC State by 2? You still needed a block at the buzzer to win? Oh, and by the way, the disjointedness, NC State looked disjointed. So you were the one that had kind of your act together, and they were disjointed, and you played all the way even. I don't know if that makes me very confident. If my players play the way they should, and we do something we don't do very often in out-rebounding the opponent, and our size doesn't actually hurt us, and all of these things that had been holding us back, if none of that holds us back and we're still in a dogfight with a team who hasn't figured out their identity yet, I'm taking the win, don't get me wrong. I'm not asking to replay it. I'm not asking to run it back. It's my win. You can't take it from me. And fans, if you're in an office somewhere and you have Carolina blue stickers on your wall and the person next to you has red and black stickers on their wall, talk your trash because a win is a win is a win. But the people within that UNC team, I think it's more of a back to the drawing boards deal.
Well, on our YouTube live chat, Butch says 100% happy, win ugly 30 minutes down the road, and a live Jalen Washington sighting.
Hey. I get it. And
I get it too.
That's my point. You needed a live Jalen Washington sighting, which is a bit, and this is no disrespect to Jalen Washington. I think he's playing out a role as like an enforcing big. It's a bit Sasquatch-ish. Like you get the sighting, you write it down, and then you wait a couple years to see it again.
I think it's his first career double-double, if I remember correctly.
And the energy down the stretch and the edge down the stretch, like there's a lot of good from Jalen Washington, but if you got 10% less Jalen Washington, you lose that game. You get 5% less Jalen Washington, you're going to overtime. That catch he made from Cadeau for the game-winning bucket, obviously once he secures the ball, wide open, easy, two-hand slam. The catch, I'd say, man, that's a nice catch. That's a blocking tight end from 2 feet away catching a heater. That's a really good play by him, and you needed it. Hubert Davis talked to the media after the game. Let's jump to him talk about the different guys. On different guys stepping up for UNC.
But it is nice to see different people step up on both ends of the floor for us in late game situations, and that's been a real key for us, whether it's Jay Wash today made the game-winning basket and the game-winning stop. And so you talked about Elliott and Ian in the second half was spectacular offensively.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, you got contributions from all over the place. Guys are playing in their roles. You're against a team who's where you were a month ago, still trying to figure it out. Still, who's our guy? Who's the main scorer? Marcus Hill for NC State scored their last 6 points, scored their last 3 buckets. Jaden Taylor got the ISO to try to win the game. They're disjointed.
I think Hill scored their first 10 points, if I remember correctly.
Bookends it. The beginning and the end. What the heck were you doing in the middle, and what the heck were you doing on the last possession? They're disjointed. UNC is jointed, and you still won by 2. I don't know if that's internally something to get excited about. Externally, fan base, as you heard, win down the road, win in a rivalry game. Doesn't matter if it's ugly, pretty. Get the win, get the win, get the win. I got you. Internally, you need to start doing things like putting entire games together. You need to start doing things like taking advantage when the other team starts reeling a bit, putting your foot on their throat. So when you're ahead by 6, 7, 8 in the second half, it becomes 10, and it becomes taking the life out of your opponent. Hubert Davis talked about putting the need, I should say, to put together 2 halves.
We just got to do a better job from a defensive standpoint. They shot 60% from the field in the second half. We gave them 16 offensive rebounds. That's just not sustainable, and we can't live on that. And so the growth for us is to put 2 halves together defensively and rebounding. Then I feel like we're in a really good spot.
Yes, as is every team. Put together a complete game. You need to start doing it more often. And that's not to say there wasn't good, by the way. Right? There's so much individual good from UNC over the last couple of weeks. So I don't want to pretend like it's all doom and gloom. You won the game. There's individual good all over the place. Ian Jackson, Drake Powell taking the next steps. You brought up Jalen Washington on the YouTube comments. 100% Jalen Washington is something to be excited about. Out-rebounding your opponent, regardless of how they play, is something to be excited about for UNC. Getting out-rebounded by, 4 is sometimes something to be excited about for UNC. There's good, there's indifferent, and then there's things to be concerned about, and you're getting them all. And as I said for UNC a couple weeks ago, every win buys you a couple more days to get to the drawing board. Right? You got to roll through ACC play to be even in the mix for an at-large if you want to go that route to the NCAA tournament. So a win is a win, and it keeps you alive for that. Gives you another couple days to hit the drawing board. But at some point, you got to finish the drawing.